Kwatu ndi mtengo momwe ine ndi masewera. Kuseku ndi kwatu koma kwatu kuposeranso uku. Kwatu ndi ku Malawi. Malawi ndi chilengedwe chonse chimene timachiona. Malawi ndi za mtengo zonse zomwe zimasunga mtundu wathu ndi mphamvu.
This is Sibongile Ziambo, the news, the headlines this hour. Panic in workplaces as some employers continue to impose mandatory COVID-19 vaccination and test. Zomba maximum prison emerging as one of the major hubs for foreign fraudsters. Agriculture expert tip Malawi and other African countries to invest much in research and technology. In sports, Nyasa Big Bullets beat Red Lions to open 3 points lead in TNM Super League. Now the news in detail. In what looks like a silent adoption of a no COVID-19 vaccine, no work policy, some workplaces in the country continue to impose mandatory vaccination and test directives on their employees. The latest is mobile phone network and ICT provider TNM, which has, for instance, issued a 10-day mandatory vaccination ultimatum for its workers. Meanwhile, another employer, General Alliance Insurance Limited, has given its workers up to Monday next week to submit their COVID-19 test results or risk being barred from accessing work premises. Masozi Kasambara with the details.
The Malawi government continues receiving thousands of different types of the COVID-19 vaccine. Surprisingly, only a few people are accessing the vaccine compared to projections by the government and state actors. The COVID-19 pandemic, however, continues claiming lives. In a quest for what they are saying is to save lives, some institutions are silently adopting what looks like a no vaccine no work policy. As we speak, TNM has issued a 10-day ultimatum on its workers to get the job. A communication from the company chief executive officer, Arnold Mbwana, we have seen, directs the employees to submit their vaccine certificates to the Human Resources Department upon expiry of the ultimatum. I acknowledge that each one of us has rights. However, one such right is right to life. Reads the 10-day mandatory vaccination ultimatum in part. The communication reminds the staff of their obligation to ensure their own safety and that of others. Worldwide, many organizations and companies are taking drastic measures against unvaccinated employees. Some employers have gone for a no vaccine, no work policy. Adds the communication. Company spokesperson Ibani Sapato asked for more time before commenting on the matter. Joining the bandwagon of the seeming adoption of the policy is the General Alliance Insurance Limited. The institution has ordered its employees to submit their COVID-19 test results on Monday next week. Those that shall not comply with the directive according to the communication we have seen shall be barred from accessing work premises and will be marked absent. For Zodiak, Masoz Kasambara reporting.
And still on COVID-19, a veteran politician and former president of Malawi Congress Party, John Tembo, has pleaded with Malawians to ignore misconceptions surrounding COVID-19 vaccines and get vaccinated. Tembo told us this on Thursday when getting his second jab of AstraZeneca vaccine. Let's hear what he had to say.
I'm one of those who received vaccination right away when it started here in Malawi. I believe in it. I have received the vaccine twice, and I encourage you to do so. Particularly, I feel that I'm in the world of the I feel like I did it. As a career, okay, guy. The one cook, we don't be the Zico. If I would Zico, woman be a
How crucial is this vaccine? And some Malawians have this kind of misconception that once vaccinated, you experience blood clotting. What can be your word of advice to all the Malawians?
My advice is that they should go to get vaccination. It's clean, it's good. I had it myself. I have received both vaccinations twice.
Telecommunications service providers Airtel Malawi and TNM have considered that they are failing to end the problem of phone fraud, which is rampant in the country. Airtel Money Country Director Polycarp Ndikama has on Thursday told the Parliamentary Committee on Media that it is disheartening that majority of the cases of phone fraud involve inmates from Zomba Maximum Prison. Ndikana appealed to security agencies to assist in dealing with the tricksters. TNM officials have also agreed with Airtel, saying that there are cartels who operate from Zomba Maximum Prison engineering the crimes. Western Guda reports.
Airtel officials today appeared before the Media Committee of Parliament to brief it on how they intend to end the rising cases of fraudsters who steal money from customers on mobile money platforms. Team leader Polycarp Ndekana has told the committee that the company is tirelessly working to arrest the situation, citing the recovery of 13 million kwacha that was recovered from fraudulent transactions, as well as 3 arrests and convictions that have been done since January this year. He said the company has so far, for example, barred 7,600 SIM cards that were illegally registered, this aiming at arresting the issue of fraudulent transactions. Ndekana has, however, appealed to the committee to lobby with security agencies to collectively deal with some challenges. For example, according to Ndekana, the majority of fraudulent transactions are done at the Zomba Maximum Prison. TNM has also told the committee that the fraudsters have devised new and clever ways to trick customers and now finds it hard to break through. Chairperson of the committee, Joyce Chitsulo, has assured the officials that the company will lobby for collaboration with security agencies and that the committee will work with the company to eliminate the fraud. For Zodiac, I am Western Guta.
President Lazarus Chakwera says the country requires about 300 billion kwacha to recover from various climate-related challenges encountered in recent years. Opening the National Green Climate Conference in Lilongwe on Thursday, Chakwera described the country's climate situation as a crisis that needs collaboration among stakeholders on adaptation and mitigation. This report by Winston Kaimira.
The COVID-19 pandemic is said to have worsened socioeconomic challenges which the country was already facing at all levels due to climate change. President Lazarus Chakwera says huge investments are needed on reconstruction and recovery after years of experiencing climate change-related challenges which have become a crisis in the country. He said these challenges are a threat to implementation of the country's development plans.
Our path to recovery from these two threats is likely to be long and costly. But what we stand to gain in the end is far greater than what it will cost us to get there. As a country, our recovery and reconstruction from the adverse effects of climate change requires in excess of 300 billion Malawi kwacha.
National Planning Commission Director General Dr. Thomas Mutali also cautioned that effects of climate change may affect the implementation of the country's development plans, such as the Malawi 2063.
Let us just zero in on the 2015 floods. Maize production went down by 14%. Cotton and sugar production fell by 54% and 21% respectively.
United Nations Resident Coordinator Maria Jose Torres said the National Green Climate Conference provides an opportunity for stakeholders to review efforts in addressing climate change challenges ahead of the UN Conference of Parties. During the event, President Chakwera launched the Women's Network on Climate Change, which will be responsible for the promotion of women's rights on mitigating effects of climate change. It is expected that Malawi will take points of action from the conference to a SADC climate conference planned for next month, as well as to this year's Conference of Parties. Winston Kaimira reporting for Zodiac.
The Deputy Minister of Lands and Urban Development, Abida Mia, has warned that government will demolish any substandard houses that will be constructed under the construction work of houses for security officers. Mia sounded the warning in Karonga on Wednesday after inspecting houses at Ipiana Police Unit and Songwe border. Adam Zunaninge has filed this report.
On 15 December last year, President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera launched construction of 10,000 houses for security institutions at Ipiana Police Unit in Karonga, with Malawi Defense Force, Malawi Police Service, Immigration and Malawi Prison Service being beneficiaries. However, erratic supply of construction materials and land disputes with surrounding community are said to be some of the factors that have affected progress for the construction works. On Wednesday, Deputy Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Abida Mia, inspected construction of houses at Ipiana and Songwe, where she warned that government will not hesitate in demolishing substandard structures in a quest to ensure that quality is not compromised. Mia added that construction of the houses will greatly help in addressing housing problems facing security officers in the country.
We are looking at quality, and if they're not up to spec, they will be demolished. We will not accept substandard quality, because these are to last for many years to come, the next generations to come. On
his part, Fukumere Building Contractors Managing Director Clement Mkumbwa expressed upbeat of completing construction works by December 2021 as per the contractual agreement. In Karonga, government is expected to construct 25 houses to the tune of 1.3 billion Malawi kwacha. Reporting for ZBS News, this is Adams Clement Undani.
Malawi Electoral Commission anticipates to have a final report from the review meetings and maps of constituency demarcation exercise by end of next year. MEC Chairperson Chief Justice Chifundo Kachali said this in Mzuzu during a review meeting exercise. The exercise, which is currently underway, will cost 1.3 billion kwacha. Towera Kumwendas filed this report.
Malawi Electoral Commission Chairperson Chief Justice Chifundo Kachali says since the commencement of review meeting of demarcation of constituencies and wards this week in Karonga, Chitipa, Rumpi and now Mzuzu, the Commission has received positive feedback. Kajali, however, says people and stakeholders must take part in the review process by attending meetings or sending the required feedback to the Commission.
So like we've invited block leaders who live with the people in the community, we've invited different political party representatives, including women leaders, to ensure that there is diversity in our representation. So ideally, members of the public are open to give us their views through our email address. We have an email address, cwr@mec.org.mw. People are free to give in their views. The current COVID situation has limited how much we can engage with people directly, but at every stage of the process, we'll be inviting people, and if the situation indeed improves, at our public viewing of the preliminary maps that we'll put up at the councils, any member of the public will be free to walk in and see what we have proposed and make their comments, which they can submit to the Commission. So anybody is welcome to put in their views.
During one of the review meetings in Mzuzu on Wednesday, Mayor for Mzuzu City Council Kondwan Baranya Sulu says the reviewing of constituencies and wards is a welcome idea, as for so long some areas have been underdeveloped due to insufficient funds to cater for projects within a big constituency.
I think you've heard most of the participants today that came expressing their views that development is not going to either the ward or the constituency because of the numbers. We have only got one constituency, and that is not sufficient enough for a population that is rapidly growing. And we would like this event to take place as soon as yesterday. So we are excited about this journey, and we're hoping that at the end of the exercise we'll have an expansion, a considerable expansion that will help the people of Mzuzu compared to what we are at the moment.
Malawi Electoral Commission says a report on the ongoing process will come out by end of next year, which will also outline on how the new constituencies will appear. For Zodiak in Mzuzu, I'm Toera Kumwenda.
You're watching news on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly. Stand by.
Mona Malawi anzanga. Nkhondo yogonjetsa COVID-19 ndi ya wina aliyense. Tili limodzi. Ine ndinasankha kulandira katemera wa COVID-19 atangoyamba kuperekedwa. Chifukwa monga namwino, moyo wanga, umoyo wa odwala amene ndimawasamalira, abale anga, ndi dera langa, ndi zinthu zomwe ndimazika pa mtima panga kwambiri. Katemera wa COVID-19 anditeteza ine ndi ena omwe analandira katemerayo ku chiopsezo choti tingadwale mwakayakaya, kugonekedwa mchipatala, kapena kutaya moyo wathu chifukwa cha COVID-19. Kulandira katemerayo kutithandiza kuthana ndi mliri wa COVID-19 limodzi.
Ziwani zambiri za katemerayo ndi kupanga chisankho cha nzeru. Sankhani katemera, tetezani tsogolo.
Malawi wotukuka kachuma. Awa ni masompenya amalawi watotukula Malawi 2063 kale wozimira pae kufika 2063 kale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tikwirane manja wotukula Malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo wotukula Malawi wozimira paeka Malawi wokomera aliyense. Malawi 2063 kusintha dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Malawi Assemblies of God University, a reputable university registered and accredited by Malawi government through the National Council for Higher Education, is pleased to announce its August 2021 intake. Programs offered: Faculty of Commerce, Faculty of Education, and Faculty of Theology. For more information, contact 0884 538 163.
We are Charismatic Private School. Charismatic Private School is informing the general public that it is opening day and boarding school at Filipina Memorial School. Charismatic School has kindergarten, primary and secondary school. The school has school buses which ferry learners around Lilongwe. Charismatic School has conducive learning environment suiting your child. Charismatic School is situated at Area 22B and Kapini, while Filipina Memorial Boarding School is situated at Area 23 Benito Lilongwe. For more information, contact Charismatic School on the following numbers. Charismatic Filipina, creating brighter society.
Welcome back. A look at the headlines as we continue the news. Panic in workplaces as some employers continue to impose mandatory COVID-19 vaccination and test. Zomba Maximum Prison emerging as one of the major hubs for foreign fraudsters. Agriculture experts tip Malawi and other African countries to invest much in research and technology. And in sports, Nyasa Big Bullets beat Red Lions to open 3 points lead in TNM Super League. Agriculture experts have tipped Malawi and other African countries to invest much in research and technological development to expedite transformation of agriculture systems. Chairperson for the National Planning Commission, Professor Richard Mkandawire, said African countries are failing to get maximum returns from their agriculture production due to low investment in value addition and capacity. This came out during the 6th Ndizoteka Eminent Speakers Series in Lilongwe, organized by the National Planning Commission in Mwapata Institute of Research on Wednesday. The latest report by the Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee MVAC has revealed that the number of Malawians needing relief food this year has gone down by 43%. A statement signed by Secretary for Economic Planning, Development and Public Sector Reforms, Winford Masanjala, says this year close to 1.5 million Malawians are going to face hunger as compared to last year's 2.6 million. He adds that the country will need at least 35,296 metric tons of maize at an estimated cost of 7.9 billion kwacha. Chikondi Mpande filed this report.
The assessment covered all the 28 districts in the country. It also included the 4 cities of Lilongwe, Blantyre, Mzuzu and Zomba. The main find is that the food insecure population has decreased. In a statement issued by Secretary for Economic Planning, Winfred Masanjala, out of 1.4 million food insecure people, the majority, over 1,250,000, are from rural areas. Masanjala says the latest food security assessment has included district headquarters in order to determine the impact of COVID-19 on food security among the district peri-urban population. Masanjala says the latest food security assessment has included district headquarters in order to determine the impact of COVID-19 on food security among the district peri-urban population.
The assessment also revealed that close to 1.5 million people out of the total projected national population of about 18.8 million will likely not be able to meet their annual food requirements during the 2021-2022 consumption year. And this population will indeed need food assistance.
Masanjala says the decrease in food insecure population is due to increased agriculture production as a result of good rainfall distribution and increased access to fertilizer and improved seeds. But how do other players react to the latest information on food security in Malawi? Bernard Mpepo is the programs officer at the Center for Social Concern.
It's a very good news for the country that the number of people who are in need of food is going down. As a country, I think this is what we are supposed to be. I think this is what we are expecting that a country we should be having. It's very sad as an agriculture country. We say our backbone is in agriculture, but yet we struggle to feed ourselves. This is very sad for the country.
Meanwhile, the Humanitarian Response Committee of the Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee is expected to deliberate on the appropriate response strategies to the situation. An estimated 35,290 metric tons of maize with estimated cash value of 7.9 billion kwacha is expected for the food insecure population in Malawi.
Meanwhile, opposition Democratic Progressive Party wants government to suspend its decision to export 1 million metric tons of surplus maize in light of the recent MVAC report, which says 1.5 million Malawians are food insecure this year. DPP MP and spokesperson on agriculture, George Million, also fears that with fertilizer beyond reach and there is a possibility that next year's crop will be affected. A 5th Children's Parliament opened on Thursday in Neno District, and it seeks to find solutions to various forms of abuse that children are suffering, including defilement, forced and early marriages. The Speaker of the House, Trifonia Kaduya, says children in Neno District are failing to complete secondary school education due to long distances and lack of conventional schools. Steve Kalungwe with more.
Speaking during the 5th session of Children's Parliament in Neno, Speaker Trifonia Kaduya called on duty bearers to treat resolutions they made with seriousness. She says, for example, Neno District has no conventional boarding secondary schools and that most primary schools have no clean water in wake of COVID-19 and typhoid fever, which cause havoc in the district. Kaduya adds that issues of early marriages need to be addressed with urgency. Save the Children Programs Manager for Child Rights Governance, Bonex Bengo, appealed to key players in child protection to treat the issues raised by the children with the utmost urgency in order to promote child rights. Meanwhile, Deputy Chairperson for Parliamentary Committee on Social and Community Affairs, Bernard Chitekwe, has assured the children that the main August House will address their concerns, while pointing to the 250 secondary schools that the American government is constructing across the country as a starting point in addressing issues of quality education. For Zodiac in Neno, this is Steve Kalungwe.
And in sports news, Nyasa Big Bullets has opened 3 points lead in TNM Super League after beating Red Lions on Thursday. A second half penalty by Hassan Kajoke was enough to secure the points. And that's how we conclude this edition of news. And before we go, a look at the headlines. Panic in workplaces as some employers continue to impose mandatory COVID-19 vaccination and test. Zomba Maximum Prison emerging as one of the major hubs for foreign fraudsters. Agriculture experts tip Malawi and other African countries to invest much in research and technology. In sports, Nyasa Big Bullets beat Red Lions to open 3 points lead in TNM Super League. Website zodiacmalai.com for more news. This is Mwongire Ziambo. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
At Mukuru, we make local money transfers easy with over 600 Mukuru Orange booths and